Hello everyone, this is Donna from Reconnecting Essentials, and today we're doing a generalized reading for what it is that Spirit needs or wants you to know. As always, these readings are brought to you by my business, Reconnecting Essentials, where you can get a personalized, individualized reading for your needs or particular question. Today we're doing a pick a card reading as per usual, and what you're going to do is go ahead and take a moment, take a breath, look at the three cards of piles in front of you, and try to get a sense for which one of these cards is drawing you in or feels like it's calling to you. Pile 1, 2, or 3. And once you know which one it is that you feel called to choose, go ahead and go to the description box below and click on the time stamp for that particular group. And once you're done, if you're interested in getting a personalized reading, you can go ahead and click on the information for that as well. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the reading. All right, group number 1, we are starting with you. And first off the bat, we have Daughter of Wands. So I feel that this is talking about something that you have been creating or manifesting, and you are past the beginner stage and going into the intermediate stage. So you haven't quite mastered it yet, but you're getting really close to that point where you feel like you can be secure and sit on the throne as the queen, so to speak. So you're in the process of making some connections and getting things to sort of come together, and you're really feeling that experience that you have gained over the time period that you have been working on it. And you are to be commended for this. You are to pat yourself on the back for this. And I feel like this is really speaking about some spiritual development and spiritual growth that you have been going through. So you've been sort of going on a quest, maybe possibly even an awakening that you've been experiencing. And like I said before, this indicates, the Daughter of Wands is indicating that you are beyond beginner stage. You have moved beyond that point of constantly researching and analyzing and trying to get an idea of what your foundation is for this particular aspect of your life. You've moved beyond that. You're not quite sitting on the throne as queen, but you're so close, and you're to commend yourself for that. I get a sense that you are not patting yourself on your back. You're not recognizing, you're not giving yourself the validation that you're supposed to be giving yourself for this particular growth that you have experienced. You're not fully recognizing it and commending yourself for this. And so you are being told if you're going to reflect on where you're at in your spiritual journey, in your quest or awakening, whatever it is that you're experiencing, you need to really recognize the fact that you have grown so much. And you may not be where you think that you want to be, but you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And you need to be giving yourself a pat on the back, and you need to be just celebrating this in a way that allows you to recognize that you have grown. You are changed. You are not the same person. You are not who you were. You are no longer taking baby steps. You are taking intermediate, experienced steps in the direction that you are working. And you really, really need to sit in recognizing that, because I get a sense that this is something that you are really struggling with, that you have been kind of, I don't want to say down talking yourself or downplaying, but I do get a sense there's a thin line there as far as how you are recognizing or seeing this progress. And you're being told that this is not how you're supposed to be seeing this. You need to recognize that you have grown. You have so much experience because of this journey that you have been participating in. You have been active in it, and you have actually already experienced fruits of that labor, and you need to recognize that. You need to see this and validate it for yourself. And the way to validate it for yourself is to just see it for what it is. Stop questioning it. Stop trying to downplay it, because you definitely have grown in leaps and bounds. And once you do this, you'll experience that ray of sun that you've been looking for. I feel like you have been kind of turning the other way instead of, and this is kind of validated by the fact that the snake is looking in the opposite direction, because you are struggling to recognize the amount of growth that you have experienced. You can't really fully experience the sun. You have your back to the sun. It's still there, but you're spending too much time looking in the wrong direction or looking at this from the wrong point of view. So you really need to sort of allow yourself to just, again, recognize the growth that you've experienced, because you have definitely experienced the growth and you have come out of some hard times. We have the 8 of Wands, and I feel like this is both representing not only where you have come from, but also where you continually look back into and almost, you don't really put yourself back in that situation, but in your mind, you almost are going back to that a little bit too much. You've come so far, you've broken free from some of that inner dialogue, and you've managed to, like I said, actively participate in this growth experience that you've had, but you're just not taking time to validate it. And I get a sense that this is something that you have been experiencing. You have been actually getting those messages that you need to recognize that you are further along, that you have left this position, that you have moved forward, that you have grown, but and you do see it, but you won't fully embrace knowing that this is the truth, and you're just being told you can look at this, but don't look at this as a place that you still are. Recognize that this is the place that you no longer are in. You have actually moved from that position of feeling stuck or feeling trapped or feeling isolated as far as this aspect of your life is concerned. You have grown from this. You have healed. Those wounds have healed much further along than you have recognized. You have done the work. You have nurtured. You have given to yourself. You have grown. And you really, really do need to just see this growth and experience for what it is, which is powerful, and be empowered by it. Allow it to shine light and the direction to move forward and to finish moving away from what once was. Once you manage to do that, we have the 4 of Wands, and we get an overall sense that you will be able to experience that rest that you seek. And this feels, again, spiritual wands in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot has to do with spirituality as far as one of the ways that you can interpret it. And I feel that there's a sense of rest that's on the horizon that you're not allowing yourself to take because of this, and celebrating. It's a twofold of rest and celebrating. You have reached a place of solid footing. Yes, there's more growth to be done. I get a sense that there is an aspect or there is an end goal that you are kind of pining for, or you have a vision that you know you want to be at, and you need to stop fretting about getting there. You will be there. You do not have to worry about that. You will get there, but you need to celebrate that growth that you've experienced. You need to celebrate that you've left this aspect of your life behind, whatever it was that had you feeling isolated or trapped or stuck. You have managed to leave this. You have grown, and celebrate that, and realize and recognize the foundation that you have created in this entire process. And once you do that, you'll get to a point where you'll be able to grab a hold of that decision of motivation that you have been waiting for. So like I said, I get the sense that there is a vision. You have an idea of where you want to be, of who you want to be on a spiritual aspect. And it's just like right on the horizon. You could almost touch it, but you also feel that it's almost like a mirage. Sometimes you experience these moments where you feel like you can see it, but when you reach out to grab it, it kind of dissipates or disappears, or it's an illusion. And that's not the case. You just need to rest in the validation of the growth that you have experienced. Celebrate those wins that you have already experienced. Celebrate those successes that you have already experienced. Celebrate the foundation that you have already built. And when you take that moment to sit and recognize and validate for yourself the growth that you have experienced and the journey that you have made and the progress that you have made, you will then be able to finally grab a hold of that which you feel is just out of reach. It will come to you. You will draw it in. The magnetism that you will be vibrating on because of you embracing your success and progress, that vibration, frequency that you will create in that process will draw that into you, and you won't have to work to manifest it. It will just be kind of a byproduct of that. And finally, we have my energy creates my reality. What I focus on is what I will manifest. And this is just really tapping into that last statement that I made. When you manage to kind of get through this and you get to that point where you can recognize the success and the progress and the foundation that you have built, you will get to a point when while you're sitting there validating that for yourself, you will create the vibrational frequency which will draw into you. You will not have to work as hard as you were trying to put an effort into. It will work for you. You will create the vibrations, the frequency, and the magnetism that will draw that into formation. And then you can reach up and grab for it. And then you can go on from there. But the first step is taking a pause and validating your success so far in this journey that you have been on. All right, group number 1, that is all I have for you. I hope that this reading gave you everything that you were hoping for and so much more. And hopefully I will see you in a future video. All right, group number 2, we're going to go ahead and begin. And we have the 7 of Swords right off the bat. And there is something that you are hiding from or of yourself. So there's a bit of secrecy that is happening here. And it's not something that's solid. It's something that you have been considering or thinking or have been contemplating. So it's not a tangible thing yet. I get a sense that it's, for some of you, it's an idea, a plan. It's secrecy, not in a deceptive way, but there's something about it that while you are working on it in your mind to try to formulate and bring it together, you feel like you are being deceptive in the process. So the process that it is taking for you to work on it mentally and how you are kind of concealing it for whatever reason that you feel the need to conceal it. There is secrecy that's going on, but it's making you feel dirty comes to mind. That was the first word that popped in my head when I was saying that statement or saying that sentence. So that you're not feeling that you're vibrating at your highest vibration as a result of it, but you also are struggling with that because you feel like you need to keep it quiet. You need to keep it private. Sometimes there are things in our lives that it's just best if we keep it to ourselves because of potency. So it's more potent when we keep it to ourselves. It's more potent and can hold more power while it's working, while it's brewing, when we kind of keep it hush hush and we keep it on the down low and we keep it limited to a select few, if anybody at all. And I feel that that's kind of where you're at right now. And I get an overall sense that your desire to find that balance between secrecy, but also protecting it and being able to share it, it's being recognized. It's being validated by your higher beings that you work with. They understand that this is how you are feeling, and they're not saying that it's a bad thing. So if you're feeling like you're doing something that is not in alignment with your greater good, that's not necessarily the case. So whatever it is that you are working on, I feel like there's something specific, a working of some sort or a plan of some sort. I don't know that there's any other appropriate word than those. There are steps that need to be taken, but there needs to be a sort of protective self-preservation bubble around these steps as you take them. And it'll come to a point where you will bring it to light, and you're just told to continue being guided accordingly as you move through that. Continue to connect with your higher beings. As long as you are doing that work that you're guided to do, and you are connecting with that, higher love vibration while you're making these plans, that need to hide or protect this, whatever it is that you're working on, it's a valid need, and just keep working on it. Keep moving forward with that. in the process where we have the Four of Swords, and you're just being told to relax a little bit, not so much rest as much as just relax. So there's a lot of tension around this. Whatever it is that you're going through or you're working on, I feel this amount of kind of constriction and tension that's coming with it. And kind of a moment of questioning whether you are in the right direction or you're doing the right thing. Again, I just have to reiterate, if you are connecting with beings of higher good and love, and you know that these are beings of greater good, then you are in the right direction. And if that's something that you have to work on, then in the process, work on it as far as recognizing beings that are good versus beings that aren't good. That's something that you have to define for yourself in your spiritual practice. But if you are connecting with beings of higher good, and you know that there are beings of higher good, and you're working towards something that you know is for higher good for yourself, then continue going in that direction, and don't let yourself get bogged down with the tension and anxiety of constantly questioning if it's correct or if it's okay or if it's right. And I just got told, seek higher counsel if you have to. So however that applies to you in your situation, if you're at a point where you feel like you need to seek outside higher counsel, then you should do that. Whatever that means as far as how it applies to this particular situation, then do so. So if you've been thinking, if you've been considering that you think you might need a little bit of help, this is your message from Spirit to follow through with gaining that help, connecting with that help, that outside help. But you need to find a way to relax a little bit. The whole process is the way you're interacting with whatever it is that's going on. It's creating high levels of tension and stress. Like I can feel my body just tensing up and becoming kind of rigid and tight. And this is not how you're supposed to be feeling. You need to relax a little bit. Again, it's not so much rest as much as you need to relax. And we have the Hermit card, and I feel like this is really just letting you know that you might need to disconnect from a few things. So those things that's creating friction for you, that is becoming unhealthy. So you have the sort of friction that we experience in life that makes us better. That whole concept of, tumbling stones becoming smooth, or diamonds being made because of the pressure, and so on and so forth. Pieces of pottery being made because of the pressure of the hands shaping it. Those are all sorts of pressure that generate something good as a result of the work. If the sort of friction and pressure that you're creating is not generating something that you know is going to be a finished product that's good, then you need to isolate from that. And I'm going to reiterate, if you need higher help, or if you have been thinking or considering about connecting with someone for some sort of higher help, then do so. Follow through with that intuitive feeling that you've been having, and like I said, follow through with it. That's there's not much more I can say about that than that. Just follow through with that intuitive feeling. You're being told to follow through with that if that's been something that has been crossing your mind. And if it hasn't been something that's been crossing your mind, and when I said it, you felt that kind of, sense of, oh yes, you know what, that's a good idea, then follow through with that. Do the research of how that statement applies to you and your situation. But, definitely rest, find a way to ease some of the tension and the anxiety that you've been experiencing. Connect with whatever it is that you need to release some of that, just the physical tension that's coming from this. Like I said, my body is really tight while I'm doing this reading. So whatever is going on, it's making you really kind of tighten and tense up your muscles and really kind of contract in a very serious and severe way. And again, I have to repeat, the Hermit card really speaks to me about isolation, but I feel like it's very specific and isolating from that which is causing friction, which is causing that anxiety, which is causing you from not being able to fully relax into yourself. It's the sort of friction that it's unhealthy. And if you recognize that that's what's happening, you need to do what it takes to isolate and separate from that, so you can get into a better position that you can relax and get into a better position of being yourself, and being able to embrace yourself and not feel like you need to be so secret and private. So however that applies to you, please take heart to that. We have Serenity as the next card. I feel like this is basically letting you know that this is a potential for you. You being able to get to a point of calmness and feeling like that full body tension and rigidity that you've been experiencing, you can get to the point where you can loosen and release that. And what's really interesting is that this is the Hermit card and this is the Hermit card. It's just called Serenity in this particular deck, but it's also the Hermit card. But the difference is that this really talks about isolation, and this one really speaks to me from the position of the Hermit card as far as bringing some sort of soul peace and calm and zen. And I feel like that's something that you have been seeking and haven't really managed to find the right path, or you've been trying things but they haven't really been generating or garnering the end results that you have been desiring. So you need to take the proper steps. Whatever it is that you need to help you to get to that, you need to be doing that for yourself at this time period. We have the Two of Cups, and that talks about connection. I feel like this has to do with love, but this is from the point of nurturing. So nurturing yourself and meeting up with others who will help participate in nurturing you, helping to nurture you, getting you to that position of calm. I know I spoke when I was talking about these cards about connecting with someone who has a higher position that can help you with whatever it is that you're going through. This card can lean towards that, but it also can lean towards just that person that you know who helps you see yourself for who you are and helps you, relax into who you are and embrace yourself for who you are, and helps you with helping yourself as far as nurturing and what have you. But this is something that you need to do. This is a path that you need to be taking. Your message from Spirit right now is that you really need to take the time for self-care that will help you to relax and help your body to calm, so you don't feel so imprisoned or feel so trapped or feel like you need to be secretive or walk on eggshells comes to mind is a phrase that comes to mind. Also, that just reaching that serenity that you should be feeling when you're in your own body and when you're in your own skin. And finally, we have, when I think I've surrendered, I surrender more. And I just really feel like this is kind of bringing all of that together, really talking about that need to recognize the help. That's the phrase that came to my mind. Recognizing what help it is that you need, however that applies to you. And that can be from different variations. It just depends on whatever situation and experience that you are going through right now. But I really feel like that concept of surrendering, that's what it's talking about. Surrendering to recognizing what it is that the problem is, what it is that is that unhealthy friction that you may be experiencing, and what it is that is help for you. What does help mean for you? Is it something that you can do for yourself? Is it something as simple as just separating from the situation? Is it something as simple as meditating? Is it something even bigger as far as reaching out to somebody? And is it even more so as far as reaching out to someone who is in a higher position that can help you? However that means to you, you're being told to follow through with things to help you help yourself so that you can relax and get to that point of calm and zen that you are seeking and hoping for. All right, that is all I have for you, group number 2. I hope this reading gave you everything that you were searching for and more, and hopefully I will see you in a future video. All right, group number 3. We're starting out with the Mother of Wands, and this is from a point of view, again, this is talking about spirituality. I'm brought to the idea that wands and the Rider-Waite-Smith system speaks about spirituality in some interpretations, and I feel like that is definitely what we're talking about, but I feel like this is tapping into you from a point of view of transition. Snakes have a tendency in the spiritual realm to talk about those transformations where you shed an old skin and take on a new one as you move through transitions and huge major shifts in your life. And then we have the eggs in there, which really kind of culminates that spiritual aspect, that rebirth, reborn sort of message, and I feel like this is just all of those packed into one card for you. You have been experiencing something, an awakening, like that's the word that just came to my head. You have experienced awakening. You have experienced this sort of absolute flipped upside down, a sort of spiritual reckoning that has made you look at things from an angle and a perspective that you weren't necessarily seeking. You were looking and researching for some answers and for some changes in information, but you weren't seeking for this absolute topsy-turvy, flipped yourself upside down awakening that you have experienced. But you're at this point, and the word raw comes to mind. So I feel like through all of this, it has happened so fast. It was, instead of you slipping and sliding out of your skin as a snake does, it was almost like it was torn off of you in a way. You're left raw and vulnerable. And I feel like that is being culminated in this picture of her being around her eggs and sort of protecting it. And I feel like this is the position that you are in right now. You're feeling raw, you're feeling vulnerable, and you feel like you need to protect this new born, whatever you want to call it, experience, newborn self, the newness, this new birth that is on the horizon that you are experiencing. I feel like this is a validation for you as far as how you were feeling, and just kind of putting it into a summary for you. And we have the Emperor, and it's talking about being in a position of solid footing, solid ground, really kind of tapping into that feeling like you can look over the horizon and know everything there is to know about your world as a result of this. And there's a transition from here to here, and it's not so much that you're there yet, but you're getting there. You'll get to the point where you'll feel like you can kind of open up and look out over the horizon, and you'll be able to see your world from this new perspective. But there's a time period from this to this. There's a time period from when you feel like you need to heal and be prepared from that raw, new, vulnerable state, to when you feel like you can stand tall and kind of look over the land that is your spiritual realm and feel secure and feel like you have a firm foundation and you know every nook and cranny of your kingdom, of your realm. But you're going to get there. You're going to get there eventually. And I don't know why that's that seems to be an important statement, like the fact that you're going to get there. So I don't know if while you're sitting in this state, if you're really struggling with feeling like you're going to feel strong again, if this has left you feeling almost too vulnerable. And this is just encouragement that this will pass. This raw, vulnerable state that you're in as you're breaking free as this newborn version of your spiritual self, it will pass, and you will stand just as strong as you ever have, and you will have a knowing as a result of it that will transcend what you were even anticipating when you initiated your research. You will come to a point in several time as you move through this where you'll have choices. You'll be able to decide, and it has to do with paths. And again, this all has to do with spirituality. So this can be from what direction you want to take it, as far as how you want to deepen it, or if you want to deepen it. But ultimately, the idea of free will is something that is being pressed upon you right now. While you are transitioning from this state to this state, you have free will. You can stop at any time. As far as on this quest or awakening, you can choose the direction of the path. Like, you are in full control of this awakening that you are experiencing. And it's important that you remember that, especially when you feel so vulnerable, especially when you feel like you're not standing tall and you're not in control and you're not at your full power. The truth of the matter is you do have full power. You have free will. You get to choose the path as it is laid in front of you, and you get to choose how long you want to stay in rest. you don't have to make choices quickly. You can take your time. You can wait until you feel stronger. You can wait until you feel less vulnerable. But the truth is that you have the strength in you, but you also have the ability and the capacity to rest and heal from the rawness that you're experiencing from whatever happened during the process of your awakening. But as you move forward, as you progress forward, every step you take is your choice, and you can choose whatever direction you want to go. There's freedom and liberation in this. It's just getting to the point where you recognize that you have experienced a point of liberation that allows you to choose whatever it is that you want to for this spiritual journey that you are on, and choose to be done at any point too. And for whatever reason, that seems to be something that is critical for me to tell you as well. We have the 2 crystals, which talks about balance. And I feel like, again, it's going back to that concept of whatever path you want to choose, you can take. And ultimately, while you're going through this process, you are actually kind of balanced between the 2, because like I said, you are already strong. You just don't feel like you have your land legs, I guess you could say, or your roots aren't as deep yet, or however you want to apply that analogy. But the truth of the matter you are both strong and vulnerable at this time period. You are balanced between the 2. And you just have to recognize that not only you balance between the 2, but as you move forward, you need to recognize how to keep yourself in balance as you take these steps forward. Again, that concept of free will is definitely there for you. So as you are moving forward and you come to a path and you come to a choice as far as what direction you want to go, you can balance that however you want. And you need to recognize the balance of when to rest, when to stand tall, when to rest, and when you need to, take a step forward. And the choice is always yours, but do it from a position of knowing what's the best balance for you as far as where you're at from between the vulnerable state and that standing tall, feeling like you have deep roots. But ultimately, the magician lets you know that you have everything within you already. I stated that whenever I pulled the 4 of the Emperor out. You have it already within you. You are already that strong. You are already that equipped. Your higher self already knows all that you need to know in this journey. Your higher self is already connected with the Akashic records. Your higher self knows and has access to all this information. Sometimes it's just a matter of resting and taking the time to connect with yourself to figure out what the balanced, most appropriate choice is for yourself, for your higher self, as far as what path and direction that you need to go. And, be kind to yourself while you're going through this process. That just happened to come to mind. So I don't know if you're just experiencing moments where the overwhelm almost gets to be too much, and keep the balance, be kind to yourself in the process. We finally have attack, pain, fear, judgment, and any form of separation are merely calls for help. And again, that last statement I said, as far as being kind to yourself, I don't know if you are just going through, while you're going through this, if it's just such a huge experience that it's almost overwhelming. Connect to your higher beings, connect to whatever it is that you need to connect to assist you as you make the move in each step forward, as you come to those points of decisions. And again, the phrase "be kind to yourself" comes to mind. So ultimately, I just feel like you're being validated as far as this huge experience of awakening that you experience, and how it just kind of happened so quickly. It's leaving you raw, but you're being told that you have what it takes already within you to stand strong, stand tall. You can take the time you need for those roots to dig down, but know that you are already stronger than you recognize of yourself. Be kind to yourself. And if in the process you are getting a little bit overwhelmed with everything, you're feeling so raw that you're overwhelmed with everything, seek the help that you need, because you are obviously coming up on points that are making you go through a cycle, kind of cycling back. So, your higher self, your spirit guides, your deities, whatever it is that you work with, just reach out to them. If you're going through a certain spiritual connection and aspects of your life that kind of weave in other parts of your life, like work or home or whatever. You can seek mentorship in the process if you want to, but just recognize when you are going through those moments of overwhelm and you start to have a specific sort of dialogue, it's okay to recognize that you're struggling. It's okay to go back to resting and to allow those roots to take hold and to seek help that will allow you to feel strong within yourself. And I really feel that ultimately this is, reaching out to your higher self. Like I said, your higher self is already connected with the Akashic Records, already knows everything you need to know. It's just about, connecting with yourself and really getting an idea of what it is that you are meant to be, who it is that you're meant to be, that you're resisting, if that's the case. So if you're at that point and you need spiritual mentorship, seek that out if that is the case for you. All right, that is all I have for you, group number 3. I hope this reading gave you everything that you hope for and more, and hopefully I will see you in a future video.